Okay, so you might have seen these huge headlines about the UAE, the United Arab Emirates,
Right.
pledging a truly massive investment in the U.S. economy.
Yeah, like eye-popping numbers.
We're talking like $1.4 trillion.
Yeah.
So in this deep dive, we're going to, try to go a little bit deeper than the headlines and figure out what's really going on here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our main source today is a pretty detailed article in Forbes that breaks down the announcement.
Okay.
So what we're going to try to do is figure out, like what's the motivation behind this investment?
Right.
What sectors are they actually talking about?
Yeah, where's the money going?
And what connections are we seeing that are kind of driving this whole thing?
Unpack it a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess the first thing to point out is just the sheer size of this reported investment.
Yeah, I mean, $1.4 trillion is just an astronomical figure.
Over 10 years as well.
Right, exactly, over a 10-year period.
So that's important to remember.
It really suggests this is a long-term strategy, right?
Yeah.
Not just a quick, in and out kind of thing.
Right.
And, both Forbes and Reuters have emphasized that this announcement came after a meeting.
Right.
Suggesting this wasn't just something that happened out of the blue. This was a very deliberate decision.
Yeah. This is made at a high level.
Going from, discussions and multiple sources are confirming this number.
Absolutely.
So this isn't just like speculation. This is like
real money, real commitment.
Yeah, this is serious stuff. And to put that number in perspective.
Right.
A White House official told Reuters that this investment's expected to substantially increase the UAE's existing investments in the U.S.
Wow.
So
it's not like they're starting from scratch here, right? They already have significant holdings.
Right.
And this is going to really amp things up.
This is going to really boost it.
Yeah.
So it's a really significant expansion of their financial ties to the United States. I mean, we're talking about a huge influx of capital into the U.S. economy.
So I guess the next question that pops into my mind is
yeah,
where's all this money going to go?
Where's it all headed?
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. So the Forbes article cites a White House statement reported in Bloomberg that outlines some of the key areas they're looking at.
Okay.
And it seems like the focus is on AI infrastructure.
Makes sense.
Semiconductors.
Uh-huh.
And U.S.-based manufacturers.
Yeah, all really crucial sectors for the future.
Right, and it's interesting because those are all areas where, global competition is fierce.
Oh, absolutely.
And it looks like the UAE is making a strategic bet on the U.S. in these sectors.
It's not just about financial returns, right? They're also thinking about, long-term technological and industrial dominance.
It's like they're looking ahead to what the key industries of the future are going to be.
Exactly.
And say, okay, we want to be a part of that, and we think the U.S. is a good place to do that.
And they've got the capital to back it up.
Absolutely. And it goes even deeper than that because another White House official, speaking to Reuters this time, mentioned potential investments in gas.
Okay.
Chemicals, and energy infrastructure.
So more traditional industries.
Right. More traditional, but still obviously very important.
Absolutely. The backbone of the economy.
Right. And they specifically mentioned the UAE's investment fund, ADQ.
Oh, interesting.
As one of the entities that will probably be involved in these investments.
So it sounds like they're really casting a wide net.
Yeah, they're not putting all their eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, we're interested in the future.
A diversified portfolio.
We're interested in, shoring up the present, so they're kind of
a little bit of everything,
covering all their bases.
Yeah, smart move.
So we've got a sense of where this money might be going, but let's think about how this deal even came about.
How did this all come together?
Exactly.
Right.
So the Forbes reporting really stresses that this agreement came directly out of a meeting earlier in the week between President Trump and a top official from the UAE.
Oh, so a high-level diplomatic meeting was a key factor here.
Yeah, it seems like that personal touch, that face-to-face diplomacy really played a role in getting this deal done.
The power of personal relationships, right?
Exactly. And the key player in that meeting was Sheikh Tamim bin Zayed Al Nahyan.
Okay.
Who is the UAE's national security advisor.
A powerful position.
Yes, and he was the one who met with President Trump on Tuesday.
Okay.
And it wasn't just a quick handshake and a photo op.
Right.
After their meeting, there was a dinner that Vice President J.D. Vance attended.
Oh, wow.
Along with other members of the Trump administration and the whole UAE delegation.
So a serious sit-down.
Yeah, and importantly, that delegation included leaders from the UAE's sovereign wealth funds.
Ah, so the people who actually control the purse strings.
Exactly. These are like, state-owned investment funds that manage the national savings and invest them internationally.
Massive amounts of capital.
Huge amounts of capital.
Right.
And they also had heads of major corporations there.
So a really comprehensive group.
Yeah, so it was clearly a serious discussion.
Not just, a casual meet and greet.
No, this was like...
Let's get down to business.
Yeah, this was deal-making time.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's interesting because this isn't the first time we've seen a major financial commitment from the UAE.
Right.
As Forbes points out, back in January, Trump actually publicly mentioned a $20 billion pledge from Emirati billionaire Hussein Sajwani,
Okay.
specifically for building data centers in the United States.
Interesting.
And Sajwani at that time even hinted that he might be willing to invest even more.
So this recent announcement is kind of building on that earlier commitment.
Right. It's like they're stepping up their game even further.
So there's already a precedent for this kind of collaboration.
Exactly. And here's where we start to see some interesting connections emerge.
Oh, okay. Lay it on me.
So the ties between Trump and the UAE, they go back a ways.
Uh-huh.
For example, Sajwani, the billionaire we just mentioned,
Yeah.
he was actually present at a New Year's Eve party at Mar-a-Lago back in 2016.
Interesting.
And his company, Damac, they developed a Trump-branded golf course in Dubai,
Okay.
which opened in 2017.
So they've got a history together.
Yeah, there's a relationship there.
Interesting how those personal connections can lead to these kinds of business dealing.
Right, and at the time, Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. both spoke really positively about their relationship with Sajwani,
Oh, wow.
and even with the ruler of Dubai himself.
So it's not just a business relationship.
Right, it's more than just transactional.
It's like a friendship.
The friendly relationship, yeah.
Yeah, fascinating.
So these aren't like, completely brand new connections.
Right.
There's a history there.
It's more like, reigniting an old flame.
Right, exactly. And the Forbes article also brings up Jared Kushner.
Oh, how does he fit into all of this?
So reportedly, wealth funds from the Emirates invested over $200 million in his private equity firm, Affinity Partners.
Wow, that's significant.
Yeah, and this was after Trump left office in 2021.
So after he was no longer in government.
Right. And it seems like these investments came about because of the relationships Kushner built during his time as a senior advisor.
It's like those connections he made in the White House.
Right, exactly.
They continued to pay off afterwards.
Yeah, and to be fair, Kushner did address these investments in a podcast back in 2024.
Okay. What did he have to say?
He said that his company tried to avoid any conflicts,
Right.
and that he told the Emirati investors that they shouldn't expect any favors if Trump ended up getting reelected.
So he was trying to be upfront about it.
Yeah, he was trying to be transparent,
Well, that's good to hear.
but it's still, it's a complicated situation.
Yeah, a web of connections.
Right. It's like personal, political, and financial ties all kind of intertwined.
Yeah, you got to wonder how those things influence each other, right?
Absolutely. And speaking of influence, we should probably talk a bit more about Sheikh Danoon himself.
Yeah, the guy who met with Trump.
Right, because he's not just the national security advisor.
Right.
He's got a lot of other hats he wears.
A man of many titles.
Right, exactly. And Forbes does a good job of outlining his influence within the UAE.
Fill me in.
Okay, so he's also the deputy ruler of Abu Dhabi.
Wow.
And he's chairman of a bunch of really important organizations.
Like what?
So this includes MGX, which is the investment firm that Trump mentioned back in January. In connection with that potential $500 billion investment in AI infrastructure.
Oh, right.
He's also the chairman of G42, which is a leading UAE AI firm.
A major player in the AI world.
Yeah, he's chairman of Royal Group, which is a private investment firm.
Another powerful entity.
And he's chairman of First Abu Dhabi Bank.
So he's basically running the show over there.
He's a very, very influential figure in their financial world.
Yeah, he's got his fingers in a lot of pies.
So he's clearly not just a figurehead.
No, he's a power player.
He's a major decision maker.
It makes his meeting with Trump even more significant.
Right. And speaking of that meeting, Sheikh Danoon actually released a statement about it.
Oh, what did he say?
According to Forbes, he talked about discussing ways to strengthen the long-term strategic partnership between the UAE and the U.S.
Okay.
And he emphasized the UAE's commitment to increasing economic ties through investments in key areas like AI, technology, infrastructure, and healthcare.
So he's laying out their vision for the partnership.
Right. And it wasn't just a meeting with Trump. He also met separately with Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to talk about economic and financial cooperation.
Okay.
and he met with National Security Advisor Mike Waltz.
So a lot of high-level discussions going on.
Yeah, it's more than just an investment pledge. It's like a whole strategic dialogue.
A sign of a deepening relationship.
Right.
So I guess the big takeaway for our listeners is that this $1.4 trillion investment from the UAE is a really big deal.
It's massive.
Yeah, and it's not just about the money, it's about the strategic implications.
Right. It's a sign of a growing partnership between the two countries.
And it could have a significant impact on the U.S. economy.
Absolutely. We're talking about huge investments in key sectors.
AI, semiconductors, manufacturing, energy.
And it's all happening against this backdrop of, pre-existing financial ties and personal relationships.
So it's not just about numbers, it's about relationships, too.
Right. It's all connected.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder what the long-term implications of all this will be.
Exactly. What does this mean for the future of the U.S. economy and its relationship with the UAE?
Yeah, it's a lot to think about.
It definitely gives you something to ponder beyond just the headlines.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that's our deep dive.
Yeah.
We'll be back
Until next time.
with another one soon.
See ya. Bye.